All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Quiet Game by Greg Iles. This book came out in 1999, so it's an older mystery thriller novel. Let's talk about the cover first, because you know I love graphic design and cover illustration. One of the cool things about this book is I do have most of my Greg Iles books signed by Greg Iles, so there is that. I always show those off. I will name drop like a mother. You give me the chance. And I met Greg Iles, and he signed half a dozen or a dozen of my books. I can't quite remember. The cover, that's what we were talking about. It's a pretty decent cover. I mean, for 1999, it gets the job done, I guess. It's kind of elegant and anything. But anyway, this is book #1 in the Pen Cage mystery series that Greg Iles does. Now, Greg Iles, I'm looking over there on my shelf. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 novels that are not Pen Cage novels. Although I think a couple of those novels over there mention Pen Cage, because all of his books pretty much take place in Natchez, Mississippi, or Alabama. I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of those right. But anyway, I've got all of the Pen Cage books here. This is book #1 in 1999. We've got Turning Angel, The Devil's Punch Bowl, Mississippi Blood, The Bone Tree, Natchez Burning, Cemetery Road. None of those are in order, but there's a bunch of them in the series. And the series just gets better and better as it goes. But let's do #1 here. It's starts off with Pen Cage and his daughter. Now, Pen Cage is a Houston prosecutor and a professional writer. So I can relate to that. Work in law enforcement, and I'm a professional writer. There's a few differences between us, though. Pen Cage works in Houston as a prosecutor. He sent 16 men to death row. Now, at the Utah State Prison where I work, we've put 2 men to death, and whatever, in the time I've been there, in the 17 some odd 20 years I've been there. Anyway, so this is, like I said, Now, Pen Cage begins this book with his daughter at It's a Small World ride at Disney World or Disneyland. I remember the one at Disneyland. When I was there, when I was in college, me and my buddies went to Disneyland, and we were standing near the It's a Small World ride, which is a pond with little paddle boats and a little thing you go through, and the kids, it's a small world after all. They do it in the little Muppet puppet things or whatever. And we don't have any plans on going on this ride, of course. But there's this character named Goofy, a guy in a Goofy outfit, like the Disney character Goofy, comes up to us, and he's like trying to like engage us in playful banter or whatever, and we're not having any of it. We're college guys. We don't want to mess with Goofy character in his little cosplay outfit. And so he grabs in frustration, the Goofy character grabs my Raiders hat and frisbees it out into the middle of the pond, the Small World pond. And it frisbees out there into the water, and it catches on a little bush down there that's in the water, and it's just sitting there. And I can see the paddle boats are going near it, and I'm like, fuck, now I've got to go on the fucking little Small World ride to get my hat. So we paddled. We grown college men actually got on the paddle and went through the Small World, and I snatched my hat back. But anyway, I don't think the Goofy guy should have done that. But okay, so anyway, Pen Cage and his daughter are at the It's a Small World ride, and now part of the plot, this is not spoilery. This is just the character. So I'm telling you about the character. He's a widower. His wife has died. He's now raising his young daughter on his own. Now, his young daughter, as they're at the Disneyland or Disney World or whatever it is, she keeps seeing images of her dead mother in the crowd, which makes you heartbroken. So now Greg Iles has got us all invested in these characters just with that simple little scene there. And then, but anyway, Pen Cage and his daughter, they're going to go back to Natchez, Mississippi, or Alabama. I think it's Mississippi. Anyway, they're going to go back there and visit relatives and family. And so they get on the plane, and of course, Penn drinks some Scotch whiskey on the plane, and he can feel the peat as it burns his throat. I used to drink Scotch whiskey. I don't do it anymore, but I remember I relate to the Scotch whiskey. Kind of miss it. Not anymore. Don't do it. Don't do it, folks. The peat. Oh, the peat. It'll burn your throat. And it was mentioned in this book. Yes. Scotch whiskey is like taking a burning ember out of a campfire and just eating it like an apple. I mean, it's delicious. Anyway, okay, so let's get back to the story. He gets back to Natchez, Mississippi, and he immediately finds out his father has a secret past. His perfect father, this man that has been a doctor in the community for so many years and everybody loves him. Well, dun, 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 he has a secret past. That is a theme in every single one of these books. Every time Penn Cage stumbles back into Natchez, Mississippi, his father pulls him aside and says, hey man, back when I was younger, I got involved in some trouble, and we got to solve it. Thing is the plot thickens. What's crazy about these books is they're all tied together a little bit, and the secret past of Penn Cage's father's plot thickens and thickens and thickens and thickens and just gets dynamite towards the end of the series. Oh my God, my notes fell down. I don't even know I hang them up. There's only like 2 or 3 words written on them, but we'll edit that part out. Don't worry about that. So anyway, so what is the secret past? Well, before we get to the secret past, I will say this book from 1999 has some bizarro, weird sex scenes in it that I don't think Greg Iles would dare put in his. You know what I'm saying? It was a different day and age in literature back then. I mean, I'm just saying. It's chock full of them. And I didn't realize that until I was rereading it. I was like, oh my God. There's none of that in the later books in the series, but he made up for it by putting it all in this one. Okay, anyway, Penn Cage, his father's secret, has trapped them all, the whole family and the community, in a web of intrigue and danger and blackmail, and Lord knows what. A 30-year-old unsolved murder is what's kind of in the offing for this plot. The murder of a Korean War vet. Now this, as Penn Cage delves into this secret past of his father, Penn Cage is very famous. When he's on the plane drinking a Scotch whiskey, people are recognizing him, asking him for autographs. Everywhere he goes, people ask him for an autograph. I mean, he's like, in this world, he's kind of like the popularity level of like a Stephen King or a George R.R. Martin, where you just recognize the guy everywhere he goes, or a J.K. Rowling. And so he's got this thing, which means that once he starts investigating his father's secret past, well, now the national media is involved because it's an unsolved murder case, and this famous writer is kind of asking questions about it. And then there's another character named Caitlin Masters, who is sort of our second main character. But anyway, she's a young newspaper lady, and throughout the books, and both the reader and Penn Cage have to discover on their own whether her motives as a newspaper reporter are pure, or if everything she's doing is sus. And this investigation ends up reaching the highest levels of the FBI and the government, and of course it does. And will Penn Cage and this newspaper lady hook up? Oh my Lord. I think you might already know the answer to that just by what they said about the sex scenes. And anyway, this was, Greg Iles, I don't know where I ranked him in my top 10 mystery authors list. I know he was in there. I don't know if he was in the top 5, but after reading a couple of Greg Iles books this year, like his newest one, which was Mississippi Blood, I'm just like, this is like, his stuff is crazy good. He should be in my top 5. He should be. And this book, though I will tell you, the later books in the series do get better. I mean, that's a fact. They do get better. This is still a 10 out of 10 book. I'd give it a 9.5. Let's just do that. So when I review the others, I can bump those up to like 9.75, 9.99, 9.9999, 9.99. And then eventually we'll be doing 10s. Anyway, that's my review of The Quiet Game. Dun, dun, dun.